signalized control up to this point. So I think that could be a solution.
I appreciate that, and I did say that'd be the last question, but I actually had written one other question, and this is really, again, for the edification of all of us who are not, whose field is not on a daily basis traffic. You used the expression, the applicant did not, as either indicator, did not feel that it was necessary to take credit. And could you explain what that means in lay language?
So the purpose of a traffic impact study, as its name suggests, is to determine the impact of a proposal on off-site intersections as well as its own driveways. And there are certain thresholds that you're not supposed to cross without offering some improvements. There's certain additional delay you can add, and if you go beyond that, then you need to start mitigating it. And if I understood the applicant's exhibits correctly, what it essentially says is, because of the nature of how site traffic is distributed, there's more than one driveway serving the site, and just because of other ways that you can tweak signal timings and make adjustments, that the applicant did not have to consider the benefit of that added capacity at the intersection as divined by PennDOT with its improvements, in order to avoid those triggers. In other words, it could operate acceptably even without having to rely on or consider those improvements that I understand are currently funded and programmed.
I do appreciate it, and thank you for your patience.
Yeah, I have a few. Mr. Devani, and Maggie, you can take down the plan, please. Mr. Devani, is it fair to say that your concern or the township's concern is greater because of the direct alignment of the connector road and Bridlewood Boulevard?
Yes.
If the connector road was moved further to the east, as you just discussed with Mr. Pomerantz, and say that intersection was signalized, but Bridlewood was not, would you not still recommend to the township that you're working for a right in, right out only?
The answer is it depends. And
on what? On what?
It depends on the offset nature of the realigned intersection as you just described it. Obviously, if the offset is on the order of 50 or 100 feet, it's probably not going to make a meaningful difference in the mindset of the potential cut-through motorist. So in that case, yes, you probably would have to continue to advocate for a right in, right out. But if there's a more meaningful offset, you get to a point where, either this potential cut-through is no longer even readily evident to the motorist, or just seems like it's more trouble than it's worth and is not necessarily adopted. And I freely admit that it is sort of a gray area as to what that offset needs to be in order to achieve that outcome. But what was originally shown, I believe, was a rather considerable offset from Bridlewood Boulevard. And I think something along those lines is probably compatible with a better outcome.
And so, by way of example, if you look at Orvis Way, and that's offset from the connector road because of the church property, but there is an offset there, and then I guess what you're suggesting is that you would have less concern if there would be a similar offset as opposed to the direct through traffic as shown on the current plan, correct?
I believe that's correct, yes.
Now, at one point you mentioned the notion of potentially sending traffic, Bridlewood traffic north, but not allowing connector road traffic south. Can you tell me how that would work?
It would have to be a creative solution involving non-customary alignments, pavement markings, and possibly some sort of channelization. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the Springfield Mall, for example, on Baltimore Pike, just east of the Blue Route. That is a very unusual access along Baltimore Pike. It's called an English T intersection, where you have very strange alignments of left turn movements. There are things that can be done to encourage or even prohibit certain vehicular paths. But as I said many times, this is really getting out of my... I tend to specialize in these very nuanced matters of traffic flow and level of service and things of that ilk, and not actual design.
Well, let's then try and go to traffic flow, and maybe this is really esoteric and certainly very hypothetical. But if you would allow Bridlewood northbound traffic to cross over 926 and proceed to the connector road, may that not also encourage the northbound 202 creative driver who wants to avoid the morning 926 202 light to make a left, cross through the Bridlewood neighborhood, continue across on the collector road, go up Orvis Way to Skiles, and then get back on 202?
Yeah, that's certainly possible. The applicant
is that something that you would? Is that something you would encourage as a traffic engineer?
I would not encourage that, and the applicant is not even considering that that will happen in its current plan, which allows the through movements in both directions. The only thing 842 shows is that for whatever reason, the application considers, and PennDOT and West Town's traffic consultant apparently agree, that it's only southbound through traffic that experiences considerable delay at different times of the day and is possible to cut through both of these communities. There was specifically no credit taken at all for northbound cut-through activity going from Bridlewood into Crebilly and ultimately to Pleasant Grove and 202, even though that's clearly possible in 842 because 842 does not consider any turning restrictions at all.
All right, let me shift gears, and I just have one or two questions because Mr. Pomerantz did cover this with you. On page 4 of your letter report, you have the sentence in there that says that Toll is committed to working with Thornbury Township on the intersection design process. That reference is a reference to the design process for Bridlewood at 926. Is that right?
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Frank, I have a couple questions. Do you feel that you have cut through traffic at this time
I don't know.
into Bridlewood?
I know that looking at 842 figure 3A, the volumes are actually lower than I expected. The turning movements, the northbound left being 45 and the AM peak, the westbound left being 7. It would seem like the traffic volumes in that figure are commensurate with resident activity only, and probably not much else, but I don't know.
Why do you feel that is? Why do you feel that at this time your position is that people are not using that as a cut through?
Well, I mean, for one, the length of the cut through is considerably shorter at present, since it's less than half, or approximately half perhaps, of what may occur if the Crebilly site is constructed as proposed. So to use the words of Mr. Haney, as found in one of the exhibits, it really doesn't get you very far. It gets you even less further now because it's only half of the path.
I'm not speaking of Crebilly. Why do you feel that individual travelers are not using it as a cut through at this time?
That is what I answered. I'm saying that the existing cut-through path potential is basically, if you're heading north or south on 202, it's the length of Bridlewood Boulevard from 926 to where Bridlewood Boulevard meets up with 202 again. So
Let me try this again. For those of us traveling on 926, and there's a backup at the 926-202 intersection, what is keeping traffic from utilizing it now? Because you say you do not have cut-through traffic at this time that concerns you. Why?
So now you're talking about traffic that's heading east, for example.
southbound into Bridlewood from 926 in either direction, but generally, most frequently, going east and going down, and or coming west and going down, either way. Why aren't they using that?
Well, I don't know why they're not using it, but I do know that the volumes as shown in figure 3A and A42 are so low that it suggests to me that the volumes making that movement are probably entirely related to the residents and not people trying to cut through as you're suggesting.
And if they don't, it seems to me that it's a very circuitous route and it's not helping to make that path in any way, even if there's a backup at 202 or, going over to South New Street, because it is shorter to get to 202. What makes you think people other than the connector road would use that connection from 926 to 202, given it is so circuitous with stop signs, and a very low speed that you have to utilize?
Please restate your question.
Why do you think individuals would use Bridlewood if they're coming from 926 in either west or eastbound to get over to 202? Or anyone at that area when the route to get there is circuitous, it's slow, and it has stop signs?
I think for my benefit, I will attempt to restate the question as I understand it to make sure I give you an adequate answer. I believe you're asking me why people who might be going in either direction on 926 are not using Bridlewood Boulevard today as a cut-through to avoid delays at 202 and 926? Is that your question?
Why would they use? Maybe I'm not being clear. You're saying there's not cut-through traffic at this time. You're telling me that, correct?
Looking at figure 3A and A42, the volumes in all directions to and from Bridlewood Boulevard are so low that I do not reasonably believe any traffic trying to avoid delays on 202 or 926 are using Bridlewood Boulevard in either direction presently. I do believe,
and I'm asking you, do you believe that's true? Because that's a circuitous route, it's a very low speed, it has stop signs, and it takes a long time to get through there to get to 202. Do you believe that is true, what I just said?
I really don't know. I have no idea. You're asking me why people who are not making a turning movement or following a path are not making that path. And the answer that you provided to your own question is a potential outcome, sure.
I live on the west side of the township, and I use that 926 all the time, and it's backed up. And I prefer personally not to use it because it takes longer to get through over to 202. So I'm trying to imagine if there's a road that directs traffic down to that intersection, why would somebody take that road anyway when it is circuitous? If there was that alignment of Bridlewood
So
from the Crebilly site alignment, why would they take that?
The interesting thing about what you are alleging is that it is undesirable to take this path, yet page 380 of A42 shows that 250 vehicles per hour heading south on 202 will take this path, and that was reviewed by Westtown Township's traffic engineer and agreed upon, as well as PennDOT and agreed upon to my knowledge. So apparently they take a different opinion than you do regarding the desirability of Bridlewood Boulevard. However, I hope you're right, and I believe you might be right, because earlier iterations of the applicant's traffic study had 0% reliance on cut-through using Bridlewood Boulevard, possibly for reasons you just gave. And if you're right, and no one wants to use Bridlewood Boulevard, then there should be absolutely no reason at all to not put in the right-in, right-out driveway that we're talking about. Because if
My other question to you is if, on your scenario, if the left turn at West Pleasant Grove Road was eliminated when you're going northbound, where would you recommend they go to get westbound again?
I don't recall talking about eliminating a left turn movement. I said that if somebody,
No, you did not say that. You said they were using a left-bound turn in West Pleasant Grove Road off of Route 202 when they were going northbound. So that's their way to get westbound then. They could go around, they could go to the 926 202 intersection, go up northbound and then left to get west. And if that wasn't there for an option to turn left, what would they do then?
again, they might simply just turn left on 926. If they're coming out at the other end of Bridlewood Boulevard, opposite Green Tree Road, because they can no longer make a northbound left onto 926, then maybe they'll come out opposite Green Tree, make a left, head north, and then turn left on 926 to get back exactly, taking the shortest path to where they could have otherwise gone. In the alternative, they might go to West Pleasant Grove. In the alternative, they might continue further north because maybe they were ultimately destined to the Westchester University of Pennsylvania, and that's where they're going to be going, so they'll just stay on 202.
I have no more questions.
Labor, we're back to you for any redirect.
Oh, I have none, thank you.
Okay. Mr. Devani, thank you very much.
Thank you.
It being a little after 7:30, is there any objection from the board if we take our break for the evening at this time?
Good idea. Good idea.
Yes. No, no, let's take it.
All right, so we'll go off the record for 8 to 10 minutes here, maybe a little less. We'll come back and we'll start with the next witness. Thank you.
Pat, I'm going to need a few minutes to change out a computer, so it might take me 10 minutes.
That's fine, Eleanor. I'll check with you before we start again.
I'll be back as soon as I can. Thank you.
Hey, Carol, I use that shortcut all the time.
What?
When I'm heading east to go home and I say, oh, nuts, I have to go to the Giant, I'll cut through Bridlewood all the time instead of going to that intersection. So it's funny that you live on the west side of the township and you don't use that as a shortcut to go to the grocery store.
Oh, I have used it, but I found that it's not shorter is the problem. Who am I
I
speaking
guess it
with?
depends. It's Christine. Am I not popping up?
Oh, hi. No. I don't see your name or you, and I'm trying to
I
figure out.
know. You know what's funny? I said that to my husband. I don't know what's going on with tonight with me using Zoom. I couldn't find me, and I thought, well, maybe other people can see.
Christine, I believe that people use it as a cut through now.
Yeah.
I don't think it. I was trying to get a little bit of some feedback on that from him.
Yeah. No, but I just found it interesting because you live on the west side of the township, and I live on the east side of the township, and I do use it.
You use it on the way back from work,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I can imagine. I've tried it a couple times, and it takes so long to get through. But my times aren't at traffic time, maybe.
Yeah, I'm at rush hour. We're a little after it, but yeah. Yeah, I love when Jason says to me, can you go to the store and pick something up? And I said, well, It's not really on my way.
Yeah, no, there's no way unless you come right on Route 1 and then turn left and up, and that's not as pleasant as traveling.
No, I don't like driving Route 1. Yeah.
You have a beautiful route from Stroud.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, 926 is great.
Yes, it's very pretty. Very nice. Anyway, nice to talk to you.
I know. Sorry you can't see me. I have no idea why I can't be seen tonight.
You're on a different page. We're focusing the speakers on the first page, and I can scan through.
Yeah, but usually, oh, there I am. Oh, I am showing up. Oh, there you go. I'm on page 2 on my computer. At least some of me is.
I'm going to be back soon.
Okay, oh yeah, go take your break. Bye.
Thanks for speaking up.
Carol, this is Eleanor. Can you hear me again?
Yes.
Thank you. I had to switch computers. Thank you.
Oh. You're going to be okay?
Yep, I just wanted to make sure we were connected.
Yes, you are.
All set. I let Matt
Thanks.
know. Thank you.
Hi, John.
Hello.
right, I think the board is back. We're not yet on the record, Eleanor. Kathy, is Michelle ready?
He is. She's still muted though.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so Eleanor, now we can come back on the record. And Ms. Labram, you are welcome to please call your next witness.
Thank you. I would call Michelle Thacker.
Ms. Thacker, would you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Ms. Thacker, your CV has been supplied to the board and marked T3, but if you could just briefly summarize your professional background and your work with the Thornbury Township and Chester County's boards and commissions.
Certainly. So I am a registered architect and partner at Archer and Buchanan Architecture. We generally specialize in the new old house, but also are very much involved in restoration and renovation work to old homes in the area. I have about 25 years of experience doing such. As far as my committee work goes, I've been on Thornbury Historic Commission for about 8 years. Became the chair, I believe, a couple of years ago now. I am also involved in a couple of other organizations, the Colonial Dames of America and the Daughters of the American Revolution. So both organizations are very involved in, obviously, the history of this country. So I have a great interest in that, and recently have joined the Brandywine Battlefield Park Associates on their board. I happen to, well, obviously I live in Thornbury, but I live on the battlefield, so it's very meaningful to me. And I guess also because of my work with the Historical Commission, I'm also involved in the Chester County Historic Preservation Network, the Brandywine Battlefield Park Associates, or not Park, sorry, Task Force, a lot of Brandywine Battlefield things, and the Brandywine Battlefield Advisory Committee for Heritage and Information Centers. So lots of things centering around the history of the area and the battlefield.
And the chimney house. Can you describe the chimney house and its where it's located in relationship to this project?
I'm sorry. I'd like to object. Is she being offered as an expert, Kathy?
She's going to talk about the historical value of the chimney house, which is a Thornbury Township Class 2 historical resource.
As a fact witness and not render any expert opinions?
I don't think she's rendering any expert opinions. She's telling these are all fact-based. The bicycle trails, the equine trails, and the buildings are, as a fact, there were registered with the Historic Commission of the township and the county.
Okay, then what was the purpose of introducing her resume as Exhibit T3?
So that you would know who was speaking and her background.
Okay.
And the membership on these boards, her connection to Chester County.
All right.
Okay. So first, the Spackman Corner Chimney House. Give you a little background on what is known of the property history. We can date back to 1696 when John Davis bought 100 acres from John Simcock. There was no house at the time. John then died in 1719 and bequeathed to his wife Mary and son Isaac his stone messuage and plantation in Thornbury, which by then contained 150 acres of land. When Isaac died in 1775, his farm was eventually sold off at sheriff's sale to Thomas Darlington in 1782, who then subsequently built the chimney house around circa 1800 on the southeast corner of 926 and South New Street. It's 1.5 stories, a 2-bay house with a corner chimney on the northwest corner. It's an early example of serpentine stone building in Chester County, which would become much more prevalent over the next century. So it's not the very beginning of serpentine stone history in the county, but it is relatively early compared to how it takes off later in the 1800s. The stone was quarried from the Serpentine Ridge Quarry, also known as Brenton's Quarry, which is right pretty much catty corner from where the house is. This residence has been included in the Chester County Historic Sites Survey since 1979. So that's generally what I have to share about the resource itself.
And how close to the cartway of 926 is the chimney house?
Very close. It's probably 10 to 12 feet off the road. I mean, when the snow plows go down the road, it gets hit by the snow. So.
And have you been involved with Chester County in planning trails and bike trails and equine trails through these properties?
Yes, with the advisory committee.
And are those trails shown on exhibit?
Yes, you could go to any of the exhibits. Maybe exhibit 4 might be a good place to start. So if you see the 926 in the middle and kind of go north, you may need to zoom in. There you go. So where you see...
I'd like to object. I'm sorry. There's no foundation with respect to this exhibit. Who authored it, where it came from. It's an official document. I don't know what we're testifying from.
Yeah.
And what gives the witness any ability to testify as interpreting and or, lack of a better term, opining with respect to what is shown on this plan.
Well, let's start with the first question. Can we identify what T4 is?
Michelle, can you identify?
Sure. So this is from the Brandywine Battlefield Advisory Committee, and it is, I believe this one is a bicycle concept of their heritage interpretation plan for proposed bikeways between all of the historic sites that along the battlefield, and interconnecting them to make an experience for visitors to be able to connect to all of these sites, either through bicycles, walking, and other means of transportation.
Okay, well, I'll object to the relevance of this as well as the witness's ability to testify. There's no foundation, and I'm not able to cross-examine her with respect to her testimony because I don't believe she prepared this plan.
No, I did not prepare this plan. This is the Brandywine Conservancy prepared this plan.
Ms. Thacker, hang on. Ms. Labor, do you have any